Ready for the ratio. Couples time, come on, let's go.
Hello. How's everyone? Are the settings okay? I had to do a lot of prep work to try and fix OBS since the last time I streamed. Okay, sounds good? Sounds good. Nice. Yeah, I found out while I was getting ready that this shirt is covered from flour from making noodles, but I wanted to get live while the war criminal is still addressing Congress, so let's just get right into it. Anyone got a link? Got him.
When we fight the Houthis,
Alright, we are quite a bit late into it, but that's fine. Alright, when does he start yapping? Okay. So it seems that the yapping starts around here. Okay, just a quick note for everyone in chat. This stream, I mean, my streams are always scuffed, but this stream seems to be especially scuffed in that I literally cannot see the Twitch or YouTube chats. So if you want me to actually read your chat messages, head over to keffels.gg/live. Otherwise, if you're trying to get my attention, it's not going to work. Let me get my earbud in so we can get started. I want to hear what this shit's about. I wasn't even planning on covering this today, but I don't know. War criminal addressing Congress feels too interesting to pass up. Then after that, apparently Bernie did a speech. I want to listen to that. I wanted to continue with the research. We left up with Vance, and we were just getting into the Dark Enlightenment stuff as well as the hillbilly elegy stuff. So if there's time today, we can go back and circle around. Yeah. God, I've watched gay porn where they were jerking men off less than this. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, come on. Holy shit, this stream is scuffed. I thought it was my end for a second. No, the Congress stream is just scuffed as hell. Barely any Democrats there. The room is filled with Nazis, basically like the amount of mindless clapping is obscene. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Some of the biggest Democratic stars are skipping Netanyahu's speech today. Nancy Pelosi? Nope. Bernie Sanders? Nope. Elizabeth Warren? Nope. AOC? Nope. Ro Khanna? Nope. Based. Senate President Pro Tem Patty Murray? And the Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin? All gone. No Pelosi. That's surprising, honestly. Okay, you know what? Before I continue, I need to go get some water because I feel like I'm going to be yelling a lot during this. Give me a second.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Senator Ben Cardin, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senators, members of Congress, distinguished guests. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time. We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash.
Like, just coming immediately after the ICC officially calls him a fucking war criminal. Like, come the fuck on. Come on.
Between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
This dick riding is insane, dude.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose. And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win.
This kind of rhetoric is fucking insane too, because we will win what? What is the objective of winning in this case? What's the fucking goal? The goal is genocide. That is what they want to win.
Ladies and gentlemen, like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis.
Wait. I might be lost. Did he just compare the Holocaust to 9/11?
Were celebrating at an outdoor music festival.
Oh, no. He's comparing October 7th. Oh, there we go. There we fucking... But he said 1941.
And suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 40.
What a fucking piece of shit. Hamas wouldn't exist if it wasn't for him and his government's policies. Everything that has happened to the Israeli people is on him. Don't pin that on the Palestinians. Like, Jesus Christ.
41 countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately, compared to our population size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day.
29/11s. Imagine addressing Congress and saying 2911s with a straight face. What a fucking clown show.
And these monsters, they raped women, they beheaded men, they burned.
Me trying to explain to Americans like food proportions in Ireland. So you know, when you go to like a fish and chip and you order like a chippy, it's about the size of roughly like maybe 6.5 hamburgers.
Babies alive. They killed parents in front of their children and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations. One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani.
I say this with 100% sincerity. I will back this point to my death. Every single death of an Israeli civilian by Palestine is on him. If you cannot blame people for fighting on the land that was taken from them, for trying to build a better life for their families while they are under constant siege and under the constant threat of genocide. I am so sick of liberal hand-wringing about this shit, because if they actually gave a single fuck about the situation, they would side with the Palestinians and they would say enough is enough. They have a right to their own land. They have a right to build a future for themselves. Because Benjamin Netanyahu wants them all fucking dead. He doesn't give a shit.
Is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife Sarah. On the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, "Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die." 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
So fucking brave, dude, sending your military forces into the ghettos that you yourself created. Come the fuck on. Everyone in this room standing up and applauding is a fucking brain-dead ghoul. So brave to shoot children in the face. So brave to starve thousands and thousands of people.
Noah, I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you. Many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliel.
No, absolutely, Sister Rose. When the history books are being written, when they look back on all of this, years from now, decades, maybe centuries, they're going to see Benjamin Netanyahu as basically a modern Adolf Hitler. He is a fucking monster.
Bibas, Eliyahu Bibas, is the grandfather of those two beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. Two beautiful red-haired children taken hostage. What monsters. And with us also is Iris Chaim, whose son, Yotam, bravely escaped Hamas captivity with two other Israelis, and tragically they were killed making their way back to our lines. We have with us also the families of American hostages. They're here. The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home, all of them.
If he wanted this situation to be resolved, he would de-escalate the fucking conflict. He loves this. He loves when hostages are taken, because when hostages are taken, it means that he gets to ramp up the aggression against Palestinians. Like, let's be fucking honest about that. He wants Israelis to die because it gives him just cause in order to escalate IDF operations.
As we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release, and I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now. I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well.
Oh, dude. Not genocide, Joe. Come on, dude.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
The thing that's just so frustrating to me is that these people know exactly what they're doing. They know that terror cannot be defeated with terror. They know that Hamas as an organization exists within the geopolitical context that it arose from. If Hamas only exists because of the Israeli occupation of Palestine, Hamas is only the way that it is, not because they are intrinsically evil to their core and their motivations are themselves just intrinsically evil. They exist out of the desperation of the situation that gave rise to them. And if you want Hamas to go away, you're not going to get Hamas to go away by ramping up military aggression, by cutting off electricity, by making it so people don't have access to clean drinking water. That's what gets to me about all this shit, is that none of these people are stupid. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are lying to everyone.
President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish-American Zionist.
He just lost the entirety of Ireland's support. Just this, it took 5 seconds. And now every single person I can hear from outside my window, people are already booing.
My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage. With us today, is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven. Avichai is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichai heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people. You heard that right. He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichai, we all honor your remarkable heroism. Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri. Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Raat. On October 7th, Ashraf too killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and he then rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri. Like Ashraf, the Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery. A third hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us. Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company.
Dude. He has no life in his face. That is the face of someone who has slaughtered children. And you fucking know it. I only hope at some point in his life he realizes that he is being used as a political pawn for the genocide. Because Jesus Christ, allowing himself to be paraded around like that, it must be fucking humiliating. Yeah, Brando in chat's right. There's also a point where they realize that this is what they're doing, but they're already too far into it. How do you get out at that point? Besides just spending the rest of your life in probably being tortured in a military prison. Volume of the stream you're watching a bit low. All right, I'll fix it up.
I just learned there is a fourth hero here, Lieutenant Jonathan Ben Chamo, who lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight.
I'll say this just like, just so people know, if there's any issues, technical issues with the stream, I am still setting up from a fresh copy of OBS. Like, I found out I've been streaming in 720p. Only found that out as I went live today, so I'll have that fixed for tomorrow's stream. I'm doing today, tomorrow, and I'm doing Friday before I take the weekend.
My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid.
This is so grim. Like, this is literally definitionally hero worship.
As the Bible says, Am kelavi yakum. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions. The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society, every ethnicity, every color, every creed, left and right, religious and secular. All are imbued.
But Israel is an ethno-state where Jewish people have more rights than people of other ethnicities and religions. Just fucking lying through his goddamn teeth.
With the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity.
Like, make no mistake, chat, make no fucking mistake. If any other country took up the credos of Israel, you would rightly call it a fascist ethno-state, because Israel is a fascist ethno-state.
Today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved.
It's also important to point out that in early Israeli history, Israelis actually looked down on Holocaust survivors. They saw them as weak. They saw them as people who didn't fight back. Like, there was actually a significant stigma in early Israeli society in having been a victim of the Holocaust. And so it becomes even more sickening seeing Israeli leaders today try to invoke the memory of the Holocaust when God knows they didn't treat the people who were actually the victims of it very well.
Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son Moshe after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, The image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel, Yechiel continued, because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies.
It's just honestly fucking sickening hearing them constantly invoke the Holocaust when, if you look through the history of the IDF, they've actually taken quite a few lessons from the Nazis in the operations that they are using against the Palestinians. They created ghettos for the Palestinians. That's not a coincidence.
Yechiel, please rise so we can honor your son's sacrifice. And I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel, some of whom are in this hall today, the sacrifice of your loved ones will not be in vain. It will not be in vain because for Israel, never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after October 7th, never again is now.
Just so fucking sickening because October 7th is on him. 100% on him. If the Gaza wall went down, if Gazans had access to clean drinking water and electricity and had a good quality of life and could build a future for themselves and their families, October 7th wouldn't have happened. It's him and the policies of his government that made October 7th happen. Anyone who blames the Palestinians for fighting back is a fucking idiot. The obvious solution is there. Anyone can see it.
My friends, defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil. Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the families, the parents. They find the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I don't think anyone who stands with Palestine should be ashamed of themselves. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for him and his government. It's just like, I am sick of watching as people get pushed into this defensive position while people are like, what about Hamas? What about Hamas? Yeah, Hamas has done absolutely detestable things. But Hamas did not just fall from a fucking coconut tree. Hamas exists in the context of what came before, and what came before was the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. That's the truth. Like, never let anyone fucking concern troll you about that. That's just the fucking truth of the situation. If you grew up in a ghetto where you watched every single day as the people you know got slaughtered by bombs, you would be radicalized quite fast. There would be a chance you would even join Hamas if you lived under those conditions.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
It's so fucking funny that he makes this distinction between the democratic state of Israel and the thugs of Hamas, where they won't even recognize Palestinian statehood. There are many other countries willing to recognize Palestinian statehood. Israel is not one of them. If you cared about Palestine becoming a proper democratic country, maybe you should start with recognizing them in the United Nations so they can actually have a seat at the table.
So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
Not the flag. Not the flag.
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but...
Of course you would say that it's just like a government psyop. Absolutely classic.
They're there and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the difference between Palestine and Israel is when Israel is making their pleas about how they're under attack, it's using a multi-billion-dollar war machine to cook up propaganda. And when Palestinians say they're under attack, it is shakily recorded cell phone footage of children under rubble from IDF airstrikes. They don't need billions of dollars in order to show their plight, and Israel does. And that is the most telling thing of this entire conflict. Parents of Tehran who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair are praising, promoting, and funding you. You have officially become Iran's useful idiots. Some of these protesters...
Also, fuck off. Where's my Iran money? Hello to all of the Iranian government officials watching my stream. Give me money. Death to America. I will take transactions in the form of cash, credit, or crypto. Thank you so much. I hope to be in touch, inshallah. And I hit the wrong scene.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
Oh, come on. You see the fucking smug smirk on his face. He thought he was so fucking clever with that one. As I said in the previous stream, there's a direct correlation between, like, very ultra-reactionary conservative beliefs and low income levels. This applies globally. There was a time when Iran was actually far more progressive than many Western countries even. And if Palestine were to ever become a progressive country, because let's be honest, most Palestinians are very conservative. That's not a lie. But they exist in the context in which they're raised. They don't have access to a lot of education. And for most Palestinians, let us hear your man voice. I've been talking with my man voice the whole stream. You should turn your audio up, okay? Like, I'm yapping. But Palestinians exist within that context and exist within that setting in which they are raised in a very conservative way, where they don't have access to education, where they don't live in a democratic country, especially because they're not even recognized for their own statehood. And the only way that they can get there is for a ceasefire, is for them to actually build. Because for the last several decades, it's just been destruction. They haven't had a chance to build a society that stands for progressive values. It feels so fucking wrong to hold them to that standard when the playing field is not even whatsoever.
These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state? Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
Dude, come on. Oh, dude, it's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid trying to use the Bible as your justification for why you're not colonialist. Like, can you imagine an alternate history where Mormons did succeed in taking over the US, and they used the fact that Native Americans were actually ancient Israelites as justification for colonialism? They could have totally done that. There is another reality where that was the case, where they used to be white. Oh no, not that. That was never true. You know what I fucking mean. Trying to use religious scripture to justify colonialism is just goofy as hell. Especially because the Torah specifically states that they were not supposed to return. Like, that is like the core of the anti-Zionist strain of Jewish beliefs, that they were not supposed to return, that they were banished from that land.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home.
Because chat, remember, there's a thing that a lot of people do where they will conflate Judaism and Zionism. They are different things. Zionism is specifically an ethno-nationalist strain of Judaism where they believe that they have the right to a Jewish homeland in the historic Levant region. And not all Jewish people agree with that. Many Jewish people vehemently disagree with that. But unfortunately, their voices get ignored because Israel has a lot more power than the average Jewish person.
It's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews. You remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give these befuddled academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells, to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs.
It's so fucking insidious the way that he weaponizes anti-Semitism. As obviously, anti-Semitism is a very real and prevalent issue in the world. And unfortunately, he's making it worse. He actively, through the genocidal policies of his government, is making anti-Semitism worse. By being the leader of a country that supposedly speaks for all Jewish people of the world and then committing heinous crimes, crimes against humanity, he is not helping the cause of the reputation of Jewish communities. His actions are directly responsible for hate crimes against Jewish communities.
These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism.
It's crazy that he's saying all this immediately after the International Criminal Court officially declared that Israel is committing ethnic cleansing. That he is a war criminal. There is a war criminal addressing Congress, and they are jerking him the fuck off.
In America and around the world.
And also, he's wrong. The Congo, the Dutch genocide in the Congo was a worse genocide in terms of sheer numbers. I didn't want to actually him on that point because ranking genocides is fucked up, but he is also wrong about that point.
My friends, whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception. And don't be fooled when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice. Here's a case.
How do you commit blood libel against a state? That's insane. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, even not even mentioning the fancy silk robes part, but Jesus Christ. The entire Israeli project is fucking insane.
Case in point, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication. Israel is an...
That's so easy to fact check. That's like the easiest thing to fact check in the world. Like, holy fuck. Food imports into Gaza. Restrictions. Security Council report. the risk of conflict-induced famine and widespread food insecurity occurs. For several months, UN agencies have raised alarm about food insecurity and the risk of famine in Gaza. Amid the ongoing war, in December 2023, the Integrated Food Security Phase classification used by relief agencies to measure hunger levels stated that over 90% of Gaza's population, 2 million people, were experiencing high levels of acute food insecurity. 90%. 9 out of 10 people in Gaza. The highest share of people facing this is the highest share of people facing high levels of acute food insecurity ever classified worldwide. And do you think that Israel is trying to fix that? No, they restrict the import of food into Gaza. They restrict fishing in Gaza. They actively, in every way they possibly can, make this situation worse.
Enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
I'm just... This guy's a fucking monster. I can't even fucking fathom how he's managed. How he has managed to lie to so many people about this and how they managed to just accept that lie. Because, like, I regret how I acted about all of this after, like, immediately in the aftermath of October 7th. Because Hamas exists in the context of the genocide and of the occupation. They wouldn't exist. Hamas would not be the force it is today if it wasn't for the IDF slaughtering civilians. If it wasn't for the horrendous quality of life imposed upon them by the Israeli state. If you want to de-radicalize people, you need to give them a reason to live that isn't something that they need to immediately die for.
So much for that lie, but here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages.
The IDF has bombed children's hospitals. Why is he even being allowed to speak? It's just fucking insane.
Messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of...
You cut the electricity. What phone calls? They barely had enough power for the backup generators for the fucking hospitals. But you're making hundreds of thousands of phone calls to Palestinians when they're not even on the grid?
Harm's way. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatri Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. They actually want Palestinian civilians to die. so that Israel will be smeared in the international media.
The thing is, I don't even think he's wrong. I don't actually even think that he's wrong that Hamas is reprehensible. The core problem is that he has made Hamas worse actively throughout all of the aggression against Palestine. Like, this is just cut and dry shit. You look into the history of terrorism and de-radicalization processes, and none of them involve military sieges, ghettos, and starving people. Do I still support Brianna Wu? No, absolutely not.
And be pressured to end the war before it's won. This would enable Hamas to survive another day, and as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen.
Also, yeah, for years, Netanyahu propped up Hamas. This is from the Times of Israel. For years, the various governments led by Benjamin Netanyahu took an approach to divided power between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, bringing Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to his knees while making moves that propped up the Hamas terror group. The idea was to prevent Abbas or anyone else in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing towards the establishment of a Palestinian state. Thus, amid this bid to impair Abbas, Hamas was upgraded from a mere terror group to an organization with which Israel held indirect negotiations via Egypt, and one that was allowed to receive infusions of cash from abroad. Hamas was included in discussions about increasing the number of work permits Israel granted to Gazan laborers, which kept money flowing into Gaza, meaning food for families and the ability to purchase basic products. Israel officials said these permits, which allowed Gazan laborers to earn higher salaries that they would in the enclave, were a powerful tool to help preserve calm. Towards the end of Netanyahu's fifth government in 2021, approximately 2,000 to 3,000 work permits were issued to Gazans. This number climbed to 5,000 during the Bennett-Lapid government, rose sharply to 10,000. Since Netanyahu returned to power in January 2023, the number of work permits soared to nearly 20,000. Additionally, since 2014, Netanyahu-led governments have practically turned a blind eye to the incendiary balloons and rocket fire from Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel has allowed suitcases holding millions in Qatari cash to enter Gaza through its crossing since 2018 in order to maintain its fragile ceasefire with the Hamas rulers of the Strip. So I wasn't exaggerating when I was saying that Hamas exists as a product of the Israeli state.
The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel. And I want to say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's cons job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies.
Here we go. Another scene of hero worship. He's about to show some guy who looks like he's absolutely dead inside, and then they're all going to clap like he's like the second coming of Christ.
West Point. He studied every major urban conflict. I was going to say in modern history. He corrected me, no, in history. Israel, he said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare.
What?
And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed. Well, last week...
Yeah, that's a good question. How are they defining combatant? I feel like they're considering everyone that they kill a combatant.
I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished...
Yeah, kid with a fucking slingshot combatant. Mother carrying her baby? Oh, well, the baby is actually a fucking suicide vest combatant. Just lying through his fucking teeth. This is sickening.
Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot.
As of the 12th of July, 2024, over 39,000 people have been killed, including 108 journalists and 224 humanitarian aid workers, including 179 employees of the United Nations. I actually don't know what RWA stands for. Just fucking lies, though.
People and unintentionally killed 24
The reliefs and work agencies, that's just fucking sinister.
people? The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do, but we did it.
More like 180,000 minimum. But it would be a lot easier for them to get an accurate toll if it wasn't always being bombed to shit and all the journalists were being killed. Well, I said it at the start of this speech, I would get mad and yell a lot. My throat's already dry and I'm out of water, so I'm gonna go get more water. Hey, Nethercat, you're the streamer now. Can you please entertain chat for a little bit? One sec. Alright, I'm back. Did Nethercat entertain you all? No? Alright. What are Nethercat's pronouns? She? Pelt her with tomatoes. Alright, which one of these is my headphone? Add tomato wiggler. Yeah, we gotta add some new emotes. We need Kamala Harris and we need tomatoes. Alright. Let's get back into the shit show.
These heroes here today, the heroic soldiers of Israel, should not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it. I want to thank all of you here today who forcefully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands.
Sorry. Choked on my water hearing him say libel against the fucking ICC. I met fucking meth addicts in rehab who were less unhinged than this guy. Oh, that woke me up. Holy shit.
And prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. And I'll tell you what else is next. The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled. That's what's on the line. So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself.
So brave. All these people standing up and clapping for children being shot by IDF snipers.
My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, "We will export our revolution to the entire world." We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself, which country ultimately stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world? And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power. That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Last month, we heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel," he said, "is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America." Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In Beirut, they killed 241 US servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of Americans.
Yeah, just like, because America installed a dictatorship. It's just so hard to feel bad about all this shit because everything that they say, everything that they're always using as their talking points are always reactions to things that they did that were significantly worse. Obviously, October 7th was tragic. I don't think anyone's denying that. But October 7th exists in the context of the Israeli occupation in the first place, of all of the slaughtered people, of the bombing campaigns, of the mass starvation. Just never fucking fall for this shit. You always need to ask when they're saying stuff, okay, but why? And if they just say because they're evil, they're lying, it's just propaganda.
American soldiers. In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump. But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Yet in the heart of the Middle East, standing in Iran's way, is one proud pro-American democracy, my country, the State of Israel. That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from.
Nah, fuck it, dude. I don't agree with Iran, but if I was a world leader and my country was that close to Israel, I would start building nukes. Like, they're a great deterrent to keep people from invading you. I don't know if I don't agree with the North Korean government, but them having nukes definitely kept them from getting invaded. I've seen what Israel does to countries that can't defend itself, and I have to say that you should probably build nukes if that's going to keep it from happening.
We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you. My friends, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory.
Just absolutely fucking evil.
Ladies and gentlemen, that victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, a day after the Hamas attack. It has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes.
I've had a lot of people from Philadelphia. This guy has to be the worst one, true. I ran out of water today, so I guess I'm going to put on my checklist of things to fix for the stream is getting like a proper big water jug. Because I only have a glass that is, it's a wee little glass. I need something bigger than this. I've had to refill it twice. Jeez. Ah! Kevil's been streaming, or have you just missed the streams? This is my first week back. I was on a hiatus. I'm really returning to tradition. Okay. Let's get back to being mad. Kevels, I assigned a chatter to be the streamer. While you were gone, we were so alone. I'm so sorry. I just needed more water. As a queer, I feel safer in Israel than in Palestine. Jordan is oddly moderate and sometimes base. I mean, I don't blame you. I would probably say objectively, being a queer person in Israel is safer than being a queer person in Palestine. However, I think objectively, just being in Israel would in general be safer than being in Palestine, regardless if you're queer or not, because only one of those countries is constantly being airstriked. I think that the conversation about queer rights with Palestine is sort of a disingenuous one, because things like queer rights come after basic security needs are met. Most people don't give a shit about things like queer rights when they don't even have enough food to eat. Palestine needs to get to a place where people aren't starving, where they have food security, and where they have reliable electricity before they can get to a point of discussing like liberal rights. That's not me making apologies for the situation. Israel intentionally keeps Palestine that way. All right, back to being mad. It's time to listen to the yappiest genocide doer.
Becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes. Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves, on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for...
And he's talked a lot about the right to defend themselves, and yeah, I guess as a state, they have the right to defend themselves. But Palestinians also have the right to defend themselves. They also have a right to take back land that belongs to them, that was taken from them. If Palestinians in the settlements take up arms and kill IDF soldiers, they are 100% in the right, not only morally, but from an international legal perspective, they are completely in the right for doing so.
All sides of the aisle, thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on Earth.
I don't want to Fed post, whoever this demon is. Just come to the main chat. You can Fed post in there. It'll blank out on the screen. I don't give a shit.
I choose my words carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on Earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep American boots, we help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East. I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll..."
Of course the person who's orchestrating a genocide is going to quote someone else who orchestrated a genocide. This is genocide doer solidarity right now. A fun fact about Winston Churchill: he intentionally starved millions of people in Bengal. A famous quote from Winston Churchill is, "The Indian people are a beastly people with a beastly religion, and it's their own fault for starving because they breed like rabbits." He was an evil, evil person. And that's not a fun fact. You're right, Give Smooth. I should not have said fun. It is a fucked up fact in fact. But I learned a lot about Bengalese history, incidentally, while I was in the Communist Party, because West Bengal and Kerala are two states in India that have very large communist movements. Bengalese, isn't it? Is it Bengalese or Bengali? You know what I'm saying. Because, well, the United Kingdom was exporting grain. The United Kingdom was exporting grain during the active famine, the Soviet Union was importing grain during the famine. And to this day, despite your thoughts on the Soviet Union, Stalin is an incredibly common name in Bengal. It's kind of jarring sometimes. If you ever turn on Bengali news, they'll just have anchors with the name Stalin.
We'll finish the job. Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster. My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
Oh, fuck off. The war existed before Hamas existed. Absolutely fuck off. That is not how any of this shit works.
But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less. The day...
You know what I absolutely despise? I despise Look, I'll get fucking clipped for this. I don't give a shit anymore. All right? I despise that Benjamin Netanyahu makes me sympathetic to Hamas. I fucking despise that. Because Hamas is detestable. But they are desperate because of the situation that he has put them in. And he could end this at any point by declaring a ceasefire, by recognizing Palestinian statehood, by allowing them to build and not destroy everything in their country. I fucking hate him for that. I absolutely fucking hate Benjamin Netanyahu for that. Because, well, Hamas has done absolutely fucking detestable things. What are you supposed to do in that circumstance? This single man has the power to stop all of this overnight, and he doesn't. So why should we have to constantly finger wag about Hamas and the terrible things they do when they're doing it in reaction to this fucking man?
The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek...
Basically, the only decent person in Congress, let's take a look. The only real one in Congress right now? Fuck yeah. Nah, I'm just gonna say Queen.
to resettle Gaza. But for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive.
But she put Hamas in power. He put Hamas in power. What do you even fucking say?
A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us.
Declare a ceasefire then!
Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization, those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan.
No, VVCCTV is completely right. If you are raised in an atmosphere of violence, that is what you were raised on. That is what you know. If you want to raise a new generation of Palestinians where they don't think violence is a solution to problems, let them grow up without any bloodshed, without any bombings around them constantly. Don't teach them that violence is an answer, because that is what Israel is teaching them.
After World War II, and that led to decades of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory, with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security, prosperity, and peace. That's my vision for Gaza. Now here's my vision for the broader Middle East. It's also shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat. Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat. All countries that are at peace with Israel and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should.
It's fucking crazy watching you mention this shit, like how the International Criminal Court was established in order to prosecute Nazi war criminals, and he wants to invoke the Holocaust while also shitting on the ICC. You can't have it both ways.
Be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th. Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported by Republicans and Democrats alike. We could call, I have a name for this new alliance. I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords.
Jesus, the loudest cheer of the night. Incredibly telling who's actually in the audience.
Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies.
Fuck off, dude. Like, are you fucking kidding me? How do you say that with a straight face?
I also want to thank President Trump.
Yeah, like, it has to be on purpose. Like, at this point, they have to be like, just try. They're like, there's a betting pool to see how many stupid things they can get away with saying.
All the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty.
The fact that he's just saying President Trump and not former President Trump, too. Like, come on.
Over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there. That's Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again.
Not according to the International Criminal Court. I honestly, and fuck it, I have made no secret that I do not like China's government, but I am looking forward to the day where the United States does not have as much clout as it does on an international stage, so ICC rulings can actually be enforced. In an ideal world, this man would be behind bars for the rest of his life.
My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland.
I honestly think that it's him right now spitting in the face of all Jewish people the world over by invoking the memory of the Holocaust while perpetrating genocide. Trying to invoke the memory of the Holocaust as just cause for what you are doing to the Palestinian people is fucking abhorrent. It delegitimizes the memory of the Holocaust. And that's fucking disgusting. And I know saying shit like that, the people will call me anti-Semitic, whatever. I'm a fucking, oh wait, I'm on Twitch. I'm queer. People like me were also put in the gas chambers. I think I have a right to say that I think it's fucking disgusting watching people like him try to bring up the Holocaust in order to justify genocide.
We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom. America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776. Working together.
Bibi is literally a Holocaust revisionist. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been criticized for saying a Palestinian leader persuaded the Nazis to carry out the What? Mr. Netanyahu insisted Adolf Hitler had only wanted to expel Jews from Europe, but that Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, told him burn them. However, the chief historian at Israel's Memorial to the Holocaust said this account was factually incorrect. That's insane. Dude, this guy is way more unhinged than I even thought possible.
I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent, Israel will not bend. We will defend our land, we will defend our people, we will fight until we achieve victory. Victory over liberty, rather victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment.
Victory over liberty. Fuck, dude. Just say, yeah, the Freudian slip is crazy.
And we will continue to work with the United States and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of repression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable ally. Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people of Israel, I came here today.
This feels like it's also a really good lesson in geopolitics. Because I feel like a lot of Americans do not understand geopolitics whatsoever. Like, just like ask yourself, why is it Saudi Arabia a monarchy with incredibly brutal corporal punishment laws, like killing people in public squares for spectators to watch, why do they always get the pass? The answer is because a lot of oil comes from Saudi Arabia. The US has a relationship with them that they both economically benefit from. You can tell that there are certain countries that if there was not that economic benefit for the relationship that they have, they would not be as close whatsoever. And that conversation seems to get lost quite often in the context of American politics, where people should really think about why is it that these countries can commit such heinous acts against humanity, but be applauded by America.
Today to say, thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel, with Israel, in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations. May God bless Israel, may God bless America, and may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
God, this is just so pathetic.
Thank you.
Looks like we're done the actual speech. It's now the jerk-off section. Alright, I'm gonna get more water. Then we'll shoot the shit, do a little chatting, and then move on. Got a lot to cover today. Man. So how are you all feeling, chat? I feel worse for watching this. Whoa, that was fucking insane. Think I have a paper on my back? What? Do I? Wait a second. Wait a second. Am I wearing this paper on my back? Oh, it's a hood. It's a hood. 'Cause this so I can If it's raining, I have a little hood because it's always raining here. Oh. Okay, so I missed the Jordan Peterson Elon Musk conversation from the other day. And I wanted to watch that. Of your shirt today as well as the flower. I I feel a little embarrassed. I did not realize that my shirt was covered in flour from making noodles until I started the stream, at which point I was like, fuck it. I already started the stream. I just made another batch of noodles, and I should have the stuff that I need coming tomorrow so I can start making ramen noodles. I've got a lot of setup to do still. Though I think it's finally coming together again. Just like getting OBS working. Autism moment? How's that an autism moment that you like making noodles? Making noodles is a fun thing to do. One of my favorite activities of the past while is sitting out on the kitchen table and just making my little noodles while Ellen's playing RuneScape. It's a great way to spend your time. And then also listening to Hassan because Ellen is a Hassanabi head. I should probably clarify. I don't know. I don't have any problem with Hassan. I think he's good at what he does and he's entertaining and there's a reason that he's in the position that he's in. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he's not immune from bad takes, but who isn't? I have bad takes. I don't think there's a single political commentator that doesn't have bad takes. As an autistic person, I made pasta for a whole year for lunch. Did you actually make the pasta by hand? Like with flour and eggs and stuff? Or do you mean you just were cooking the pasta? I'm these feel like different categories of things. I'm gatekeeping making pasta, yeah. So I feel like cooking pasta and making pasta are two very different activities. No, you boiled it? Well, I mean, when I make pasta, I have to boil it as well, so you're halfway there. Um, I don't know. The tanky discourse is just kind of exhausting. Like, I know that I used to get really, like, hyper invested in that shit. And I don't think that tankies are legitimately a threat at all in the United States whatsoever. I obviously have a lot of disagreements with them. I just don't think it's worth the effort bashing them when they're such a fringe. They're a fringe of a fringe. And this isn't like the 1930s anymore. There's no Comintern. It's not like communist parties are actively trying to form parties in other countries and then use them as proxies to take over the country. You know, China doesn't give a fuck about the CPUSA. They've got their own thing going. They're happy with it. Did I cover this yet? What? New Twitter API leak reveals there's a group. Oh, whoa. What's this? Oh, whoa, what is this? New Twitter API leak reveals there's a group of protected users that are allowed to break the terms of service without consequences, even including a list of whitelisted slurs. That's fucking insane. He actually created slur passes. Libs of TikTok, the Russia account? So let me get this straight. Let me get this fucking straight. I can't say cisgender on Twitter, but the official Russia account can say the N-word. Why? What? What the fuck? I mean, like, this isn't new. Twitter used to have a bunch of protected users before under the old ownership. Like, Libs of TikTok basically had a rule where it can't be banned without a meeting of the board of directors. That was part of the Twitter leaks that first came out after Elon Musk took over. Also, I say the F slur on Twitter a bunch, but I'm pretty sure my account is still shadow banned. Though I did kind of figure out, like, if you're at a certain point of having enough followers, being shadow banned doesn't actually mean anything. Like, if people are still reposting your content, people not being able to search you up doesn't really matter. Twitter's also actively interfering in the US election. Oh yeah, Twitter is preventing users from following the Kamala Harris HQ account. But this tweet was how I found out it existed, and I followed it from it. So I guess, like, as soon as a story broke, they immediately reverted it? What's Matt Binder saying? Mr. Free Speech is openly pondering about deporting anyone, including American citizens who do free speech. Proposed law: if someone tears down the American flag and puts up another flag in its place, that person should get a free but mandatory one-way trip to that flag's country. Wait a second. Does that mean if you tear down the American flag and put up a transgender flag, you have to go to the transgender country? Is he going to create Transistan? Is that going to be real? Transylvania. Interesting. How long is this? Is it only... How long is the full interview? Was it on the Rubin report? I don't want Rubin's coverage of it. Where's like the whole interview? I thought looking up Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, and, oh, full interview, okay. It's still Rubin report. Yeah, most of this just seems to be Rubin coverage. Where the fuck was this uploaded? Maybe it was uploaded on X, formerly known as Twitter. Let's see. I don't know what channel it was on. I'm just gonna look up Jordan Peterson and see if it's on his channel.
It's a modern twist on...
No, it's not. Why don't I use dark theme? Fuck off. Here. There, are you happy? There you go. Can someone tell me if the superintendent's link is real? I don't recognize the username and it's a white name in chat. I don't want to click a link and it turns out to be like the raunchiest gay furry porn I've ever seen in my life. It's real, thank you. 2 hours? You fucking kidding me with this? All right. I'm curious enough.
So the first thing I'd like to
The fucking Cybertruck logo in the background.
say is that it's ridiculously exciting to be here.
You're most welcome to be here.
This is quite the amazing place, and I've been preparing to talk to you for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to it. You said something that caught me right away when we were discussing various issues just before we started. You said you were up till 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
So-
actually a little more like 5 in the morning. But
Okay.
we got the XAI data center or supercomputer center training from beginning installation to start of training in 19 days, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that in that new building off to the side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were.
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis,
Okay.
the capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
This entire room is a charisma black hole. What the fuck is this? This is so brain dead.
Yeah, I wish that was funny. Yeah, okay, so I want to talk to you about alignment.
I wish that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
well, look, I mean, there are a few things.
I feel just like it's a bit, insensitive to show up to an interview with Jordan Peterson while you're barred out on Xanax. I don't like the guy, but come on, he's a recovering addict. Be a bit more respectful, Elon.
So we're aiming for with Grok, the XAI.
Yeah.
That's the name of the AI from XAI is called Grok.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with the
I'm
term,
familiar.
So,
I want to ask you about that too.
well, Grok just means to deeply understand something.
Yeah, but it's got that weird background. That's Stranger in a Strange Land, right? Robert Heinlein. That was a favorite book of mine. How old are you?
53.
Yeah, okay. So we're roughly from the same era. I read Heinlein a lot when I was a kid.
The first 2/3 of Stranger in a Strange Land are great. It gets kind of weird in the final third.
Yeah. So why'd you pick Grok?
Well, I think because of the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
To grok something is to understand it at a very deep level.
Yeah.
To really fundamentally understand something, and that's what we're aiming for with our AI. The stated goal of XAI is to understand the universe.
Yeah.
I fucking love Grok. Hey, have any of you used Grok? Wait, actually, one in chat if you've never used Grok. I wanna just see how many people haven't used Grok before. Okay, so a bunch of people haven't. Let's use Grok for a second. Hello, Grok. Is Elon Musk a pedophile? Oh, they fixed it. Hello, Grok. What is Elon Musk's connection to Jeffrey Epstein, and what did he mean? And what did Epstein mean in his email to Elon Musk about Ghislaine Maxwell meeting him for kung fu practice? Let's get a bit more specific with Grok. Based on the information provided, Elon Musk has been involved in a lawsuit where he was subpoenaed by the U.S. Virgin Islands in a case accusing a Wall Street bank of enabling Jeffrey Epstein to sex traffic women. The subpoena sought any document showing communication between Musk, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and Epstein. There's a photograph of Musk and Ghislaine Maxwell, an associate of Epstein, at the Vanity Fair Oscar party in 2014. Musk later said he didn't know Maxwell and that she had photobombed him. There are also reports of an email exchange between Musk and Epstein in 2016, where Epstein asked Musk if he was able to meet up with Maxwell at kung fu practice on Saturday. The phrase kung fu practice in the context of the email could be interpreted in different ways. It might refer to an actual martial arts practice, or it could be a code or euphemism for something else. Grok is so cool. They've definitely changed how it used to react, because like when I first used Grok and asked if Elon Musk was a pedophile, it just like went on rants about all of the legal cases and associations he had with Jeffrey Epstein.
So to really just understand the nature of the universe, and even what questions to ask about the universe.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. I think it's a good goal.
Okay, so let me ask you some specific questions about that. So I played around a lot with large language models. I have some people on my team who've built one. Actually, we built one out of my writing that I've been using to help me with my new book. So if I come across biblical passages that I can't understand, I can use that system to give me a first pass approximation, and it works quite nicely.
Yeah.
I've used Grok quite a lot too, and ChatGPT, and I use them as research assistants, and they're ChatGPT lies a lot, so you have to keep an eye on it. Well, so I've been thinking about this alignment problem, and so
alignment problem's a big deal.
I got an idea to run by you, and you tell me what you think about this. Well, so there's a golden thread of conversation that constitutes the basis for humanities education, let's say, that's run across centuries, and in principle, that concentrates on ideas that have been winnowed probably through a quasi-evolutionary process across large spans of time.
Yeah.
So you get documents out of that, like the King James Bible, for example.
Sure.
And they're zeroing in on core conceptual.
Okay, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna fucking straight up end my life if I have to watch the entirety of this for 2 hours. Let's just go to the fucking... Let's just go to the clips. Like, seriously, this
It's
is
a
bad.
modern twist.
This is bad. This makes me feel bad.
Happiness or meaning?
Well,
which would you pick?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck this shit. I can't do 2 hours. I'll just look at Humanist Report's
I lost
coverage.
my son, essentially. So, you know, they call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead. Killed by the woke mind virus.
Ah, Jesus Christ. This is the clip that I was thinking of. I just cannot even fucking believe that you have the audacity to say this shit. Like, you're a deadbeat dad. You abandoned your kid. It wasn't the woke mind virus that is why your kid won't talk to you. It's that you're a piece of shit.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
All right, so let's...
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
That was Elon Musk, world's richest man and apparently the world's worst parent, claiming that his trans daughter is dead because of the woke mind virus. But that's just not true. His child is very much alive, thankfully, but since he can't accept that she's trans, he's choosing to pretend like she's dead because that's somehow easier for him to accept than her being trans, which says a lot about his morality. Listen, any parent who'd rather pretend like their child is dead instead of just accepting them for who they are, they're not just a bad parent, they're a bad person. It just speaks.
Yeah, it's not fucking hard to just accept your kid for who they are. Just be there for your fucking kids. I mean, Elon Musk is a colossal fucking idiot. Like, imagine buying Twitter and then getting radicalized by fucking Twitter into thinking the woke mind virus is a real thing.
Speaks to who you are as an individual. He is a terrible human being. Most parents love their children unconditionally, I'd like to think. Maybe they don't always understand or approve of their child's actions, but they still love them because that's kind of the whole point of unconditional love, which is expected from parents. But Elon Musk is saying, actually, there are conditions. If you're trans, I don't love you anymore. You're dead to me. That is so morally reprehensible that even looking at him grosses me out. What a terrible person. Now, I'd say that he should be ashamed of himself, but this man is incapable of feeling shame. Now, listen, to be fair to him, I do understand that he feels hurt because he no longer has a relationship with his daughter. But whose fault is that? That's his fault. He is dead naming and misgendering her in front of millions of people. He refuses to respect and accept her for who she is, and he's wondering why they no longer have a relationship. Put two and two together, Elon, and maybe...
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but imagine how fucking awful that must be. That it's like your parent not only doesn't accept you, but your parent is broadcasting that to millions of people and trying to blame woke society on the fact that you're just a bad father.
you'll figure it out. Now, ask yourself this question. Would you want anything to do with your parent if they treated you this way? I know I sure the fuck wouldn't. But we're now learning that him rejecting his trans child and subsequent anger over what he thought was her.
This version has the part where he's claimed he was tricked into signing paperwork. Okay. Let's give it a shot.
Gender affirming care, which is child mutilation and sterilization.
Yeah.
It happened to one of my older boys. I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. You know, I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs.
Bro, you are a fucking billionaire. You could have got the sperm fucking frozen for that kid if that was that important. Like, Jesus.
And so I lost my son, essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right, so the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus. So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
The fucking music on this. It's not why it's called that. It's called that because it's a name that they no longer go by.
And we're making some progress. It's incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison. Gender affirming.
Fucking A, man. I'm glad this site is crashing and burning. He said that he was going to pledge like $45 million a month to a Donald Trump super PAC, and then he backed out of it last minute saying he doesn't subscribe to cults of personality. And I feel like it was both that the Kamala Harris had made at that point like $250 million in donations, with the majority of it being from first-time donors. The majority of those donations were first-time donors of $1,000 or less. And he wanted to be the big boy who donated more money than anyone else to the campaign. Or maybe he also realized, backing the candidate that thinks electric cars are gay is not great when you are the CEO of an electric car company. But I don't know how much thought he actually puts in any of his actions. The real telling thing, the original clip, is when Jordan Peterson says the gigantic lie to the suicide thing. Like, he's so quick to say that. Tells hardwired into him that any sort of suffering trans people might go through has to be obfuscated at all costs. If they're killing themselves, it needs to happen, and nobody needs to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, that's generally a big right-wing talking point when it comes to trans people, is trying to downplay how much trans people do suffer, trying to downplay the suicide rate, trying to blame it on other things entirely. Wait. And she started at 16, so she never even went on puberty blockers. Gosh. Oh, man. All right, where were we? Yesterday we were going over Vance. We didn't make it to the Dark Enlightenment portion of this stream. And I wanted to learn more about it, because that's apparently what Vance subscribes to. Well, one thing that was really funny was that on Twitter, even Musk was like, "Hey, J.K. Rowling, you should consider toning it down a bit. This is maybe you're being a little unhinged there about trans people." Fucking torque enlightenment. Foregoing MAGA JD Vance reportedly brought baked goods to his trans friends. What? Huh? He's apparently the first political candidate in history that, when picked for VP, actually created a negative bump in the polls, which is insane. No one likes this man. Man. Is Kamala gonna announce her VP? I don't actually know the details on that. Is that happening today? If that's happening today, I'm gonna cover it, but I haven't heard anything. Probably not to the convention. Makes sense. Next week. All right. I was planning on going longer, but I'll be honest, I do not feel well physically. I might actually end soon. I was hoping to go for at least like 4 hours today, but yeah, just like I don't want to push myself like I used to. If I'm not feeling well, I'm probably just gonna make sure that I'm taking care of myself first and foremost. I will be back tomorrow, and I will be back on Friday. Happy to see you return to one of my favorite singers, Beautiful. You also raise up the importance of self-care. Well, like, one of the problems with being a streamer, especially being a political streamer, is you're really incentivized to no life it, you know? To cover all of the breaking news and to like keep on the ball and to stream all the fucking time. But I felt awful, just absolutely awful doing that. And you know, like I'm struggling with chronic pain issues, chronic fatigue issues on top of that. And I can't do that shit anymore. So before I go, I guess I'm gonna shill, since I didn't shill this stream. So if you like the content and you want to support my return to streaming, consider subscribing. It helps me keep this running. It helps me pay my editor now that we're regularly uploading on the YouTube channel again. And I deeply appreciate all the support. Cool. Shill done. I'm probably gonna go lie down. Love you too, Sister Rose. Saw you break down into tears with the Israeli-Palestine situation. As Israeli felt summer is good for someone to validate it's okay to take it emotionally and not just be angry. When you actually have empathy for other human beings and you see that kind of suffering, I don't know how you don't just feel like breaking down into tears. This is a fucking cruel world that we live in. And it just feels like so many people are not human with the way that they react to all of this. It's why part of what makes propaganda effective is dehumanization of your political opponents, because if you don't see them as human, you don't feel sad for them when they get hurt. Yeah. Thanks for coming right back before your birthday. Anytime, little buddy. I'm honestly kind of sad I have to end here, but I really need to just lie down. My back is fucking killing me. All right. Gonna end. Take care, everyone. I'll let the mods raid into whoever. I don't actually care. All right. Bye-bye.